PLD Projects presents Holy Snokes, a Star Wars podcast featuring PLD and Matty Gunner. May the Force be with you, always. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Holy Snokes. We're actually back. We are here. We are a duo again. It feels like it's been forever. We are so back. It does. It feels like it's been forever. I know it's only been like 2 weeks. I had to do a live show by myself because you weren't around. And then I had to cancel because I was very, very indisposed. That's the word I'm looking for. Indisposed that day.
Normally I get a general message from PLD like, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it because of so-and-so reason. This time I just can't do this week. I'm sick. And I was looking at it. I was like, okay, either Paul's real pissed at me or he's like bedridden sick.
Legitimately, actually, I spent time between either my bed or in the bathroom. Those were the only two places I could be. I don't even know what it was. It was a weird thing. I don't think I ate anything out of the ordinary. It's just I think there was a stomach bug that was going around, and it finally just made its way to me. Luckily, it was only like 24 hours. I didn't feel like necessarily bad. I just wasn't going to be able to sit here for 90 minutes. Let's put it that way. So no way that was going to happen. So I was like, you know what? I got too much going on at this point. I gotta.
We have to have a bucket underneath your chair.
Exactly. We wouldn't want that. We wouldn't want that at all. But, I'm glad to be back. I'm happy to be back.
Could have been a real shit show.
I like what you did there. All right, fair enough. But we are here. We've been promising this topic for a couple of weeks now as well. We were actually supposed to do this 2 weeks ago when Matty had to cancel, and I was like, I'm not going to do this without him since I know he prepared. So I did my own kind of winging. I just did like the live news bit, which I have some stuff to at least one question to ask you about. We're going to do it the next week that I had to cancel. So luckily I saved the thumbnail. We just got to push it back, and we're finally going to do it. It's our favorite five, not ranking them, but our favorite five or best five, whatever I want to say, favorite five Star Wars characters introduced in the Disney era. And if this is your first time here, hit that like and subscribe. I am PLD of PLD Projects. That's Matty Gunner. He's my hetero life mate and this hetero side gun. What do I say? Side partner?
Hetero life day mate?
Hetero life day mate. That works. I was there. I was looking for whatever you can call it, chewy maybe, but because you do have the hair. A little more blonder, but you do have the hair. But how you doing, Matty?
I'm doing good, mate. Something has definitely been going around because I also felt a little bit I got blood taken today. I hate needles, and that may surprise you guys with like how many tattoos I have. But like syringes and me, like a tattoo needle, like it looks like a gun. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine, whatever. But like actual syringes, I hate them. All my syringes and snakes are the only two things that I absolutely hate.
Oh, I wonder if Indiana Jones.
Other than some Star Wars YouTubers, but that's beside the point. Yeah, so that was fun.
Speaking of Indiana Jones, in a way, in the roundabout way, fearing snakes, did you see Harrison Ford's finally answer the question of who shot first in a weird about way? Asked directly about who would win in a fight between Red Hulk and Green Hulk. Because I forget what pundit asked it. Whoever asked that had to know that Harrison Ford doesn't answer these questions. He has to know that. But he comes back, everyone comes up with the greatest answer. He's like, this goes in the category of who shot first, Han and Greedo. So Greedo. That's how he answers.
Yeah. I think that Harrison at this point, I think he expects these nerdy questions to come.
He does.
I think he's just like, all right, let me entertain you dorks. The most glorious picture known to man came out this week. This is like a segue into a news topic. Did you see the picture of Harrison Ford in a kilt?
I did not. I missed this.
Brother. Harrison Ford promoting this whiskey company. And it's Harrison Ford in a kilt. It's the most epic shot of Harrison Ford standing with like 1 foot on a rock in the Scottish Highlands wearing a kilt, drinking a bottle of whiskey. It is the most manly thing I have ever seen in my life.
I have to see this now. I'm gonna look it up. Holy crap! Wow.
I'm shocked that you haven't seen it.
I don't know how I've seen it either. I just it sounds like something that'd be right up my alley. But
Have you found it?
I'm looking for it. Oh, there it is.
For audio
Oh,
listeners,
that is
yeah.
it. Yeah, that is pretty manly. I'm here for it. Let me see if I can download this real quick. I also want to put it up.
While Paul downloads that, yeah, Harrison Ford posing with I don't even know how to pronounce the whiskey. It's Scotch whiskey. Harrison Ford wearing a kilt in the Scottish Highlands.
There you go. Let's share it.
Have you found it?
There it is. Wow. That is.
Look at that man.
That is the picture of a man right there. That is a man that I love. I'm not gonna lie, a man that I love. So, well, thank you for that. That I love.
Can you imagine him on the red carpet of the new Captain America, and he just walks down the red carpet wearing a kilt?
Oh, he should. He rocks that thing. He actually makes it work very much.
He really
100%.
does. Only two men I've ever seen make a kilt look good: Jonathan Davis of Korn and Harrison Ford.
How dare you, sir? How dare you leave off the great Roddy Piper?
This is true. Sorry, no disrespect to the great Roddy Piper of They Live fame.
Fair enough. Of They Live fame. Yes. Well, that just made my day. So I appreciate you bringing that up to me. So absolutely.
That's okay.
Well, today, guys, we are talking about the best Disney era characters, and it was such a difficult thing for me to do. I know that much, so much so that I did this first time list. I went through. I was like, oh my god, I have 50 characters that could be vying for these slots of best 5. There's just so many of them that they were even more than I even thought. So I had to make my own rules. I'll tell you about the rules now before we get into it, because I had to make my own rules to kind of pare it down. It was an easier way for me to pare it down. I did not tell Matty any of these rules until just before we started recording. Yeah. So he does not have to follow them. I'm not saying he has to follow them. These are specifically my rules. My rules being, I'm sorry to do this, but I'm going to eliminate any High Republic characters from the High Republic initiative. And that's not because I don't like them. It's because we actually did a show. You can look back in our episode. We did a show in the top 5 High Republic characters. So I wanted to kind of spread the love around a little bit. So I was like, okay. And honestly, it made it easier for me to eliminate a few of them. I'll throw them in my honorary mentions. So, because I have a ton of honorary mentions as well. So we'll at least name check them. But as far as that's concerned, I'm not going to put any honorary mentions or any High Republic characters in that list. I also, furthermore, decided that I could only use one character per property per se. I didn't want to have all 4 characters from all 5 from Rebels or all 5 from Ahsoka. I tried to have one from each kind of. I know the Mandoverse does share, but I tried to make it that way, so it was kind of it spreads that love around a little bit. The other rule I imparted, which is the one I think Matty had the most issue with, and I'm sorry, but I did this, and I told him he didn't have to follow it. He can choose to follow it or not. But I said, in a technicality, by technicality, I could not include Wrecker, Hunter, Tech, or Crosshair or Echo, obviously, but Crosshair, because while technically speaking, they made their debut in the Disney era, they initially did have the arc unfinished, released on a Clone Wars DVD. So the characters were technically introduced before the Disney era. So I kind of eliminated them from my draft as well.
That's some niche bullshit, but I will allow it. I will. The only one I'm not going to abide by is that second one of the one per property. I couldn't do that.
That's perfectly fine. I had a hard time doing it too. It just wasn't able. It was a way for me to be able to kind of spread some love around. So that's where I'm going to go with. But first, before we do that, and before we do any of that, we're going to get into our little bit of news. We had a couple weeks of news we can talk about. In fact, I want to talk at least one piece of news that I talked about a couple weeks ago. I have not really heard your thoughts on it as far as things go. We got the news that Ryan Gosling is in talks to be in Star Wars, in the Sean Levy Star Wars movie. And that, of course, has now reportedly been fast-tracked. Of course, like we say always, it's not been officially announced by Lucasfilm, not been officially
Mhm.
announced by anybody, but it is in the, shall we say, reputable trades. So that means to me that there's definitely smoke, there's fire. And they haven't said he actually is cast. They said that he was in talks to or was likely going to be. So with that in mind, knowing what we know and how this can go down, it's fun to speculate for me. What are your thoughts on adding Ryan Gosling to the Star Wars franchise?
At first, I thought I was getting the call up because I thought it was Ryan Gosling, and I was like, I am Ryan Gosling, so I guess I'm going to be in Star Wars. But no, it is the much more talented, much more handsome Ryan Gosling.
Fair.
What else is there to say other than do it? It's Ryan fucking Gosling.
Good call. I agree.
He's not just some pretty boy A-lister. Like, go watch The Fall Guy. Go watch Blade Runner 2049. Go watch The Nice Guys. This guy can do everything.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, go watch The Notebook.
Watch Barbie.
He can do everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The only argument against it, I'll throw out there just to get your thoughts on the argument, is someone being too popular or too big to fit into a Star Wars role and everything else. I mean, I debunked it already myself.
Disagree. Ewan McGregor at the time, Trainspotting was massive.
Right. Agreed. Liam Neeson I thought was pretty big. Sam Jackson as Mace Windu.
Samuel Jackson.
I totally agree. I guess the idea of maybe that if he's leading the show, is it different than having a supporting role? I don't know.
He's gotta be.
You're preaching to the choir as far as I'm concerned. So
it's Ryan Gosling. Just do it.
And you know what the most important part about that is, honestly, and I mentioned on the show, and I'll say it this way: that's the kind of thing that will fast track a movie. Let's be honest, Lucasfilm, they have been through a lot, and they have had a lot of false starts. They've had a lot of stuff going on that's been announced or leaked and then doesn't happen. And our celebration from a couple of years back, we haven't gotten very far in any of the things that were officially fully announced then. And so Ryan Gosling being added to that list, that's the kind of thing that fast tracks for budgets and stuff. That's the kind of thing that makes a movie happen.
And get it, this has been in play for a while. Maybe not this specifically, but I was talking to Luke from this Sessions podcast about this.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Gosling was originally in talks to play Kylo Ren.
I did hear that. I did remember that. Yeah, there was one of the people at that point.
So they've had their eye on him for a while.
That would have been an interesting choice for sure.
Not goth enough.
I know. I'm not saying they made the wrong choice. I think Adam Driver was actually the right choice, but I'm just thinking that would have been an interesting way to go about it. Sure.
He probably would have been able to do it.
That's true. I think I heard at one point, this is me complete speculating, so I might be pulling this out of my rear end. So I warn you on that. I did hear that he actually had been considered maybe to do solo at one point as well. I think it was dismissed pretty early on because he was too old. That he was maybe a little too old for the role potentially. But could have been good. Could add some swagger to it.
That's the thing, and this is 100% a power play that is unneeded, in my opinion, from Sean Levy, because he just made Disney $1 billion.
Yeah,
his movie's gonna get greenlit anyway. But I do think this is him saying, "Hey, I got Ryan Gosling. Why don't you move my movie to the front of the line?"
And I think that's what happened. I mean, because if you read, we read the tea leaves. We always talk about this stuff like these are the leaks, these are the rumors, and try to be calm about them and everything else. But if you read those rumors, a lot of times, sometimes there's a little bit of smoke in there, and like you kind of piece things together. And I remember a couple weeks before that, I was like, oh, there's this rumor going around that Sean Levy has blocked out September of 2025 to film a Star Wars film. And there's something else being said, and all of a sudden this news happens. I'm like, this all kind of makes sense now. And Ryan Gosling's in there. This gets fast tracked. That's why this is the next one getting made potentially. It's like, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Let me pose this question to you.
Yep.
Sean Levy is very close to a man who is known for leaking something to get a project that he wants going.
That's true. That is true.
Do you think his pal Ryan Reynolds said to him, "Hey, why don't you just tell him about Ryan"?
Yeah, it could be. It could be because let's be honest. He was the one that we only really know about the Sean Levy movie at all because Sean himself said it. He said,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm working on a Star Wars movie. I'm writing with so-and-so, and I've got this thing going on, blah, 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 blah. That's how we know this exists. Like Lucasfilm has still not commented on a Sean Levy Star Wars film yet. Disney has not commented on a Star Wars,
It's the
on a
worst
Sean
kept
Levy Star
secret in the
Wars
world.
film. Right. It was Sean, because he said it himself. Like, this is what I'm doing. But I wouldn't be surprised if like they kind of hammered home, maybe Disney like, you know what, don't leak anything else. And that's why we haven't heard Sean Levy say it directly about Ryan Gosling. He's like, all right, I won't say it. I won't say it directly. Type. Got things leaking out.
How pissed do you think Filoni is? Because this is for sure going to get his movie pushed back, and he's the creative head.
I don't think he is. I think he's Filodex. I think he knows he's got a lot. He's worried so much about getting Ahsoka on board at this point. They have the Mando and Grogu in, like, that's going to go out there first. I mean, I don't think it's going to, I might not push his movie back very far. I honestly don't think it, because, and honestly, from rumors I've heard rumors again, throwing it out there, that Filoni's movie might get pushed to Disney Plus potentially. I've heard that thrown out there.
You can't put the Empire on Disney Plus.
And I'm just saying, depending on what they're doing with it, that's what I'm saying. I hope not. No. But I mean, if I've heard also if Mando and Grogu isn't a sizable hit, isn't the big hit, which it should be, but if it isn't a sizable hit, that they will still finish the Mando story, but it would be back on where it started on Disney Plus. Heard that rumor, heard that thrown out there. I don't know.
That's not so bad. It started on Disney Plus. Let it keep going on Disney Plus.
That's what I'm saying. So, but that would be the Mandoverse movie. That'd be the Empire is the end of the Mandoverse.
Bro,
so they would.
No, that'd be uproar. That'd be uproar. You can't put that.
That's the end of the Mandoverse. That's what it would be. So if it doesn't hit, if Mando and Grogu doesn't hit in the box office, then that's where we could see that happen. You just can't. No. I won't allow it. Now you can try as you might, but I'm just letting you know the rumors are out there. So
the streaming platforms are failing anyway. I mean, look at Netflix going to live sports to save it at this point.
I wouldn't say Netflix needs to be saved. They're still doing quite all right.
Not safe, but like to keep innovating, to keep doing something new.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they're trying to do new things.
UFC are going over to Netflix, I think, end of 2026. Because obviously TKO own them, and you have the WWE relationship with Netflix. So I wouldn't be surprised.
You know what though? You just said it best. Like Disney Plus is having some struggles. So what do? You put on a big blockbuster movie like Heir to the Empire,
burn it
on the streamer.
Pull the plug.
I'm just saying that. You want to pull a plug in Disney Plus?
Pull the plug in Disney Plus.
Really? So no more Andor, no more Bad Batch, no more.
We're getting one more season, Mando.
But I'm saying we don't have the home for those things anymore. For Andor,
we do. I got a link for you. Don't worry. You'll still be able to watch Andor. Just
new product. I'm saying new product. You're not going to get Andor season 3 or whatever. You know, I mean, we're not going to get anyway. But like, you know what I mean? Like, we're not going to get new stuff. That's Disney Plus. A good
put it on terrestrial TV. Sell it to Apple.
I don't know. Hey, maybe that could work, but Apple would want control over it. So that's
fine. Have you watched some of these Apple shows?
I love the Apple shows. They've been very good to it. But I mean, that'd basically be Apple buying Lucasfilm at that point.
I'm okay with it.
I mean, I'm not.
They own every other part of the entertainment industry. Why not?
Because they do put good stuff out. Absolutely. But I mean, that'd be another obvious point to have. Absolutely. I'm just saying that as far as it goes, I'm just saying that's an idea that Disney might have. They might want to try to boost Disney Plus by putting on Heir to the Empire as like a Disney Plus. I don't know. I mean, it also goes against the other thing, which Disney said they want to get Star Wars back to the theater. That's why Mando and Grogu is not season 4 of The Mandalorian. So there's a lot of tea leaves to read and sift through. Who knows what's going to
happen. Too many tea leaves.
Absolutely. So basically the idea is, sit down and wait and see. But
shut up and wait.
But hey, I can tell it to myself too, and I know that. But I like to kind of throw ideas out there and see if we can come up with something. But all right, let's get through the rest of the news now. We can talk about together. Stuff's happened in the past 2 weeks since we had a show. First up, Asajj Ventress to appear in a Bad Batch comic. Got the Bad Batch Ghost Agents coming out soon, and Ventress is gracing the newly revealed cover of issue 4. Cool. Now, the weird part about this is my first instinct was actually typical like Red Eye YouTuber going, how can we have this takes place during the Clone Wars and they met Ventress during Bad Batch. Like they met her during that episode. So how could this happen? Right. Like,
but was that the first time they met?
Yeah, because that's what they didn't. The conversation indicates that they had not met before. They talked about her as like, oh, she was working at blah blah blah, and then I was like, oh, well, that kind of sucks. I wasn't like really mad. I'm like, oh, I'm into the retconning it. But with that being said, they did say that there was an interview with the writer. They said, I can't express how thrilled I am to be writing more Bad Batch. Any good hero needs good villains. There's no better villain than Asajj Ventress. Sure, we had to pull some strings to make any encounter between them work, but we did just that, and the results of fun action-packed adventure.
What if she only meets Tech?
Theoretically, actually, I think she's going to be behind the scenes. I think it's what happened because supposedly Aura Singh is also involved, and Ventress and Aura Singh are teaming up together. So it could be that Aura Singh becomes the face of whatever's going on, and Asajj Ventress maybe he's more behind the scenes. So that's my prediction. But I'm okay with that. And it matches up well. I just don't want to see any overt I don't mind a little there's retconning. People get really upset about retconning. Obviously, we had the people who were very upset about Ahsoka, a novel, and all sort of stuff. And I've always been one of very chill, as long as Joseph Scrimshaw said, Pass on Force Center, when he talks about it's campfire stories, they're different narrators, different it's just different sides of similar stories. And I don't mind that idea. I think it's kind of cool to get different perspectives. You can do that in these kind of tales. But when something's outright contradicting makes it a little harder for me to that was a little harder. So I'm glad they're at least knowledgeable of it and working around it. That's fine by me.
There's a phrase in the video gaming community of retcon isn't a bug, it's a feature. You're using it to patch over, to expand on the game.
Yeah, I get that.
This is expanding on the story. It may be some stuff gets a little bit overlooked.
Yeah.
If we get a better story out of it, I'm all for it.
Okay. And it sounds like to me, again, the interview makes it sound like we're okay. So good to go there. I'm excited about the Bad Batch coming. I think it's going to be a fun one for sure. I kind of miss my boys. I miss my boys.
I do. Yeah. It sucks.
Speaking of Bad Batch, though, we also got an announcement just more recently. The Bad Batch novel. A novel featuring the Bad Batch is coming, entitled Sanctuary. Star Wars Sanctuary, and it's coming out I believe it's going to come out on August 5th, which I'm excited about, and it takes place during the Bad Batch series. It's Bad Batch and it's Fee, and it's talking about Sanctuary, Pabu. It's so it's actually a episode or a novel storyline that takes place while they were reestablishing Pabu as their homeland or whatever. So I'm all about that. Another actually full-on Bad Batch adventure from the era we know and love them. I think it's going to be fun. I can't wait to see that. Written by Lamar Giles. I don't know what he's written before. Let me see.
I recognize the name.
Yeah, so do I. Let me see. Let's see if his first Star Wars. This might be his first Star Wars novel. It looks like it's his first Star Wars novel, so that's exciting though. It's exciting to me. So hopefully it's maybe that's where we're gonna get Hondo and the Bad Batch. Hondo did the novel. Hondo Watch 2025. We're getting desperate. Either way, very exciting to hear. I can't wait for that.
He wrote The Getaway. Right, I got it. It's a Purge kind of book. I read. Right. Yeah, that's why I read it. What?
Nice, very nice. Speaking of the Bad Batch again, we should celebrate the Bad Batch. Bad Batch won a Saturn Award this year in 2025 for the third year running. Best animated series 2025. It had some stiff competition. It had X-Men 97.
I didn't even know the Saturn Awards existed until this year. So.
Really? Oh wow.
No,
it's not. They've been around for a long time too. They've been around.
Awards
for
ain't
over
my
50
thing,
years.
brother. I had no idea.
Or 50 years, and so it's good for them to have. But they had a lot of competition. They had obviously X-Men 97. They had Batman Caped Crusader, Star Trek Lower Decks, something called Kaiju Number 8, which I never watched, and the Gremlins The Wild Batch, which I still never watched either. But
there's a Gremlins animated show.
There is.
Why have I never heard of this?
Suppose it's pretty good. It got nominated, so pretty.
Of course, it's Gremlins. I'm a staunch defender of Gremlins too.
Yeah. I know Gremlins 2 is great. Gremlins 2 is it leaned more into the comedy side of things
Mhm.
from Joe Dante, and that's what Joe Dante wanted to do. So some people don't really go with it because of that. It almost goes too comedic. But I'm not one of those people. I'm all for it. So
Can we get
and
a two mediocre white dudes on Gremlins?
that will probably happen at some point. There's only 2 of them though. We don't do
You
TV
could do the
series
show.
yet. We haven't done TV series yet. Although we are considering doing them for our special behind the scenes project we just announced on our last episode. That being that we are doing, at least Patreon exclusive for now, rewatch of the MCU. And we're going to go through the entirety on Patreon. We will eventually put it out on the channel, but like months later on. We probably are going to do the series as like one episode. We'll take one season for one episode. But we'll see. We'll have to see about that. Gremlins 1 and 2, I think absolutely will be done at some point. We'll just have to make it part of a larger season because there's only two films. Like, especially if they decide to do a third film, which has been in kind of been rumblings of a third film potentially. So, but I don't know what to say. Maybe we'll do a Joe Dante watch through of some of his films, some of his classics. It'll be something good. But back to the Saturns, because the Bad Batch wasn't the only show Star Wars property to win in an impressive victory, which I thought I got to be honest with you, I loved her. I loved it, but I was surprised it won. Was Rosario Dawson won for Best Actress, sci-fi TV show.
Who was she up against?
She beat out Jodie Foster in True Detective, Emma Darcy from House of the Dragon.
Get the fuck out.
Denai Guerrera from Walking Dead: The Ones Who Live.
No
Catherine Hahn from Agatha All Along.
Oh, no way.
And Elliot Pernella from Fallout. And Melissa McBride from Walking Dead: Daryl Dixon. Quite some stiff competition, but the Rosario won her path. I'm proud of her. I'm happy for her. I mean, that's a big win.
A win for Star Wars, but I'm sorry, over Emma Darcy, not a chance.
It's hard. I mean, I will say this: Emma Darcy's role was an easier win. Would have been an easier win, not necessarily because of the performance. The performance was great. Rosario Dawson her performance as Ahsoka was difficult to be a show-off role. Like, it's one where she was supposed to be a very stoic, very reserved, controlled performance. It's not very showy. It doesn't usually win awards, but there's not to say it's not as good of a performance. I don't necessarily disagree. I probably, if I had a vote, I would have voted for Emma Darcy as well. But I did sit back and think about it and go, well, it's an interesting tactic to take. I
mean,
for some people.
Purnell was incredible in Fallout. I loved that show.
Yeah.
But
Catherine Hahn was great in Agatha All Along as well.
Oh, she was so good. I finally watched that. It's so much fun.
It was so much fun. Absolutely. I'm sorry we're not getting season 2.
But it's her performance, while it's good, it's very, very, very similar to her performance in Daredevil.
Yeah. That's fair.
Like, well, we've seen Rosario play this before.
Yeah, I get that.
Her character in Daredevil, she has to be reserved because she's a nurse. Like, she can't get emotionally involved in Matt Murdock and Daredevil, even though she's always treating him and she's his friend. And so it's kind of, I don't know. Congrats
to her. No, and this is not our discussion is definitely not a slight on Rosario, because we love Rosario Dawson. I think she did a wonderful job. It was a little surprising, but hey, the win for the show, win for Ahsoka, win for the show, win for Star Wars. I'm here for it.
Surprised to be sure, but a welcome one.
Yes, exactly. So, all righty then. Finally, also we had one more.
My eye is so itchy.
Award. Kathleen Kennedy is going to be winning an Oscar Wilde Award, which is
Oscar Wilde has awards.
He does. I did not know this one. I did not really know about, to be honest with you. But her and Frank Marshall are going to be. It's going to be taking place at the Los Angeles Theater, the Ebel Theater in Los Angeles, and it's 19th Annual Oscar Wilde Awards, founded and hosted by U.S.-Ireland Alliance, which aims to foster relations between the U.S. and Ireland in the arts, education, politics, and business fields. And they basically normally focus on Irish accomplishments, but they also extend it to individuals with presumably Irish heritage, and Kennedy and Marshall, I guess, believe in that. And yeah, so they're getting Lifetime Achievement Awards. And hey, you know what? I'll give it to her. She's been through a lot of stuff in the press, and a lot of Star Wars YouTubers are trying to call for her head, and she's, replace her, all this stuff, and she's still standing tall, and she has a history of success. And so, you know what? I'm happy she's getting her flowers.
Yep. I just want to clarify, I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at it being for like Irish American awards.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm just like, they really will give an award for anything.
Well, you know what? Yeah, awards are a little
She deserves it. She's made,
but
like, track record aside, where however it falls on you, however you think she's done at Lucasfilm, she's made them a buttload of money. She's put a buttload of butts in seats.
Mm-hmm.
That's her job.
Despite Disney Plus's, more recent, I don't know, struggles is the right word. We'll get to that, but like, she was behind Mandalorian and Grogu. She was the executive producer behind, or besides the Mandalorian, I should say, and that has become the face of Star Wars, the new face of at least new Star Wars. So you got to give her her flowers.
Kennedy.
Kennedy, there you go. All right.
Sorry, it's just funny.
Next up, we got Oscar Isaac has been confirmed as a guest for Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah,
you will see Mr.
I've
Isaac
already
there.
I've already bought my autograph ticket.
Nice.
Do you know what I'm going to have autographed?
What?
One of my copies of Metal Gear Solid.
That makes sense.
Because he was due to play Solid Snake in the Metal Gear movie, but then it got canned. But it was going to be like his version of Cavill's Warhammer project.
Right.
Because he is like a diehard super mega fan of Metal Gear. So when I come up to him with the booklet from the game, put it on the desk in front of him, he's going to love me. And we're going to be best friends. And he's going to come on the show and he's going to tell us all about him going to be in Rogue Squadron.
There you go. That's fair. That's fair.
My plan. It's to benefit the show.
Love it. Love it. It does feel speculation that there's going to be a Force Awakens 10th anniversary panel, which would make sense. I think that'd be a good thing to do.
Has it been 10 years already?
It has been 2015. Force Awakens. We're getting old, my friend. We're getting old. 10 years.
I don't like that.
I don't know. I don't like it either, to be honest with you, but it is the way of the world. It is the way of the world.
God, my niece was a child when that came out.
And the question would be, Oscar's going to be there. Will Daisy be there? Will John Boyega make an appearance there? It'll be interesting. I know the friend of the podcast, our good friend John Hoey, speculated, threw it out there as he likes to speculate and throw out there. Wouldn't it be nice if we actually had a scene where Daisy Ridley pops out and says that she needs some friends along her new movie adventure, and out pop Oscar Isaac and John Boyega with her as the new trilogy, or the new big three, so to speak. It'd be cool. It'd be very cool to see. But either way, Oscar Isaac being there is going to flood some speculation. You're going to have a good time on that for sure.
Oh, I'm definitely going to have a good time because I'm going to be holding up the entire damn line behind me.
That's fair. That is fair. All right. Next up, speaking of that new Jedi Order film, it has found a new writer, and George Nolfi is written. And this is actually obviously after the initial pitch by Damon Lindelof and company, and then Stephen Knight did his work, and then he left. Now, George Nolfi, who is best known for writing The Bourne Ultimatum, Ocean's 12. Ocean's 12. He has worked with Tony Gilroy, obviously, in the Bourne trilogy, so that is a Tony Gilroy type hire. He's getting his first shot at Star Wars. Still, everybody else is still attached to it as far as he knows, but he mentioned it, talking about writing a Star Wars. His quote from his recent news was, "If you think about George Lucas, the 6 movies that he did and the universe that he created, It's actually very steeped in very steeped in broad notions of politics. It's not talking about today per se, but there's the empire's Nazism / Roman Empire, the democracy of the Roman Empire collapsing and becoming an empire, and the perennial story of human beings organizing themselves against chaos, and then the tools that help human societies tamp down on chaos becomes oppression. So that is really very core to what I think George Lucas is trying to talk about. And one of the wonderful things about science fiction and Star Wars, which is more almost science fantasy or space opera, is that you can raise the deepest issues without it feeling like a philosophy class or political science class or something I read in the newspaper today.
So, but did you see Empire Strikes Back got I don't know if it was an award. Someone did an article where it was like the best anti-fascism movie of all time.
Oh, wow. That makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. For sure. I'm interested in him as a writer. I mean, again,
I love Ocean's 12.
I love Ocean's 12.
Joseph Grimshaw, I love you. I love you. I love you. I completely disagree with the fact that he doesn't like the rug pull at the end of Ocean's 12. Right. I love it. I think it's hilarious.
I think all the movies are fine. I think Ocean's 12 is underrated and overhated. The Bourne Ultimatum, the first 3 Bourne movies, there's nothing wrong with any of the Bourne movies as far as I'm concerned.
I like the Renault one.
I like that one too. I think the 4th one's actually good as well. But the first 3 are kind of like unassailable to me. It's like the first 3, Legacy just underneath, and Jason Bourne has a little bit of a misstep, but a little tired, a little tired at that point. But yeah, he's writing that, and he's going to write that in Star Wars. That could be great. So it's talent writing what we want. That's what I really want to see is talent writing. So hopefully he sticks it out and finishes it up, and we can get
a heist movie.
Be interesting. I don't know if that's where we're going to have a Ray. I mean, a heist movie for Ray? Probably not. But
keep him on and get him the right one.
Good. You know what? I mean, if you get Oscar Isaac and John Boyega involved, that actually makes it more possible. So I can see them being involved in a heist movie for sure. But I don't know. Interesting concept, though. I'm interested to see what he does. And hopefully this will push the film forward because it definitely has been pushed back quite a few times. Obviously, the Sean Levy news and Ryan Gosling news, and that's being pushed up. That Mangold and Willimon are finishing up their drafts. So that's going to go probably soon. Don't know what's going to happen with any of these projects at this point until we see more. But I think Celebration could be huge. I think we might get a real map outlining what the plan is, like what was happening moving forward. And I know we got that before, but I think they actually have probably learned.
Literally just about to say.
Which is why I think you're going to see something like this. You're going to see Sean Levy get announced. You're going to see Ryan Gosling on that stage, and they're going to say, yes, and we're starting filming September 2nd of this year. Like that kind of thing where it's like I kind of think that's what we're doing. I think that they're waiting to get that's why I haven't said anything. They're getting all their ducks in a row. So when they make the announcement and go, okay, this is that.
If Ryan Gosling is in Japan, I will find him.
I know you will.
I will find him.
You have a lot of people you're going to try to find.
Hideo Kojima. Ryan Gosling.
You don't really
I'm going to be seeing Oscar Isaac.
You don't really have that much time, dude. Just letting you know.
I've got plenty of time. You think I'm going to be going to many panels? I'm going to be going to Scotty J-Rose panel on midi-chlorians. I'm going to be going to probably the main panels. And that's probably it.
You'll have a couple of days, though, and they have tight security. So I'm just saying. All right, a couple more pieces of news before we get into our main topic. This is a sensitive topic in the Star Wars world, but I want to take it from both sides. There was a new report. We're going back to The Acolyte. There was a report where The Acolyte was the number 2 most watched show.
Say that again.
Acolyte was the number 2 most watched show on Disney Plus this year with 2.7 billion minutes. Now, here we go. Now, this is where it's been kind of like anybody says Acolyte, and we got both sides that kind of flip out. The evil side tends to flip out. But I'm not gonna lie, there is a little bit of a toxic positivity side to the fandom as well. Usually done in response to the evil, so I almost understand it, but it can be a little bit much as well. And they were like crowing this out. How could it be canceled? How could there not be a season 2? Second most watched show in our 2.7 billion. Well, yeah, but if you look into those numbers a little bit more, like compared to like The Mandalorian or whatever, it has like 6 or 7 billion minutes like during that year. Like the whole Disney Plus was down. So it's like basically if a studio put out 5 films and they all bombed, and this one was the second most watched of those bombed films. Yeah, it's the second most watched film, but it's still it's not something to really crow about as far as that goes. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to be negative about it because, hey, it's great that it was. That means all of the shows that were watching Disney Plus, people did watch the Accolade. That's good to know. But it isn't a reason to push the. There's still the same reasons it got canceled, or not renewed, or whatever you want to say. Is part of it due to bad faith people? Absolutely. Is part of it also business side? Absolutely. So I'll tell you what. If the Accolade had 10 billion views, the bad faith people Disney would be renewing it in a heartbeat. That's the truth of the matter. So it's one of those kind of like things that you can use. You can cherry pick things, and it looks good on your paper. That article, that headline, 2.7 billion, number 2 all year. Yes, and there is some positivity to that. Absolutely. But let's not go overboard with it and try to say like, well, this should be this, that, and other thing. You know, so
I'm petty. It was number 2, so suck it, nerds. The show that you hated on for the lesbian space witches, guess what? It's still number 2, so suck it.
It's interesting to say. I mean, it was number 2 only to Percy Jackson and the Olympians.
I haven't watched that,
which is a good show. It was actually a good show. The thing I got from it though, it is that Disney Plus is struggling a little bit, and that's unfortunate. Yeah. But it does seem like there is another going back the positive way. One new article that just came out that the negative Nancy's are crowing about now, not necessarily specific to the Accolade, but Disney Plus lost 700,000 subscribers in the recent quarter. Big drop off in subscribers. But at the same time,
damn it, people finding my sneaky links.
But then, like Disney and baby, like they're crowing. Of course, the negative Nancy's are crowing. Oh, the Accolade ruined it. That's why everybody's dropping it because the Accolade. And they're using that kind of shit, or Star Wars in general, Marvel in general, all the crap that we hear on a basis. They don't remember that, like just like the quarter before, it had like record gains. So like I think it was like millions of people like joined up. So like people joined up, and then like so of course not everyone's gonna stick through it. If you have like 2 million people join, not everybody's going to stick around. That's what it is. Prices did go up. So that's not exactly
I canceled mine.
Wait, I get it. The negative Nancy crew for theirs doing that. I totally get that. And also they have the new trio bundles of stuff like Disney, HBO Max, and Hulu together. And Hulu gained a lot of subscribers as well. So there's a lot behind the numbers that never gets talked about. It kind of feels like they have these.
Plus come with Disney
I think they're
Plus over there as well.
There is a bundle you can get it with. There's certain specific bundles you can have. I have the trio bundle myself, which is Disney Plus, HBO Max, or Max, and Hulu.
I'm pissed off with Max right now. Don't even mention Max to me.
What specifically?
They didn't renew Tokyo Vice for season 3.
Okay, that's fair. I got to say, Max. I don't like Warner Brothers. I don't like Zaslav. Actually, I don't like Zaslav. That's what I should say. I don't like that guy at all. He's a douche. However, they do put out high quality content. That I will say.
Have you seen Tokyo Vice?
I have not actually. So
Ken Watanabe playing a grizzled old detective in the 80s, tracking down a conspiracy plot involving the Yakuza and the Japanese government, and it's based on a true story. It's Ken Watanabe. How are you going to cancel Ken Watanabe?
That's fair. And again, this is the same studio that tossed out the Acme Coyote movie for a write-off, despite how everybody else saying how good it was. So, I know. And Batgirl as well. Batgirl completely
scrapped. How do you do that to Ken, man?
I got it. So, all right. And just to put the cherry on top of that article, Disney Plus top 10 TV shows of 2024. Percy Jackson was number 1. Accolade was 2nd. Agatha All Along was 3rd.
Great show.
Echo was 4th.
Great show.
X-Men 97 was 5th.
Great show.
Star Wars The Bad Batch was 6th.
Phenomenal show.
Star Wars Skeleton Crew was 7th, and that's because it's only the first couple episodes. Ahsoka was 8th. The Mandalorian Season 3 was 9th. And The Mandalorian Season 1 was 10th.
So it's pretty much all Star Wars, other than a few.
Yeah, pretty much. Interesting.
I'm starting to think maybe Lucasfilm should just do their own streaming service. Bring back Willow.
I don't know if they can with Disney Plus. Disney owns them at this point.
Pull the plug.
They can't pull the plug.
We'll do it.
Pull the plug.
We'll do it.
All right. Anyway, last bit of news we got today is partially a review and partially just a conversation. It was in the article there. Alex Damon had a wonderful interview with the
Legend.
comics writers. Great interviews with them. But specifically, what I bring up, I talked about that actually last time, but specifically want to bring up Charles Soule's Legacy of Vader. That was followed up by Star Wars Explained put out a headlining article that Kylo Ren was going to be hunting down Order 66 survivors. That was kind of one of the takeaways from the article. Charles Soule clarified, went to and clarified, said there's only one Order 66 survivor, and it's only one like arc. So it's like that's they didn't want to make sure that that wasn't like the takeaway that was what the comic was about. I'm glad he did that because I'm glad we got. I like it better when writers, directors, whoever can clarify stuff like that on social media instead of letting it run wild. Lucasfilm should take note on that. I think that was a good thing.
Do what James Gunn does.
Clarify. Yeah, exactly. I think every studio could use a James Gunn. I think a lot of times Lucasfilm has gotten too precious.
James Gunn.
I do.
Everyone in their personal life could use a James Gunn.
But anyway, he talked about Legacy of Vader is actually set between The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, and Kylo is now supreme leader. But after what happened, he's with Luke Skywalker on Crate. He's kind of at this little bit of a crossroads, trying to figure out what he's doing, and he's going to be using Vader's legacy, previous issues with Vader, to kind of like forge his path forward. And that means basically literally retracing the ground Vader walked on in locations like Mustafar and Tatooine, which to me sounds like what an idea for a comic. What a great idea for a comic that both fits the story and also lets you have that little bit of nostalgia. Obviously, Charles Soule had that great Vader run. He knows the character very well. And this is a way you can broaden out the horizons of the sequel trilogy, something that has been very much lacking. We haven't gotten much in the era besides the 3 films. And, Resistance was out there. But, like, as far as, like, those main characters go, we had, like, what, maybe a couple of, like, Rey mission here or there. We had a couple of Poe Dameron missions in the Poe Dameron run. But it's been very much lackluster as far as content in that era. So getting something about, like, helps broaden out Kylo Ren, good idea. Great idea as far as I'm concerned. And then, but by doing it, by bringing in the nostalgia of Vader and getting to bring in the nostalgia of the original Soul, I mean, nostalgia for a couple years old comic now, so not too much nostalgia, I guess, but like Soule's run on Vader, I think it's a brilliant way to juxtapose both and make a lot of people happy. And I'm happy to say that I read the first issue that came out. And that if you know me by now, you heard me, I've been talking about how I'm doing this reread of Star Wars canon. And a lot of the new stuff that comes out, I basically just putting it in the slot until I get there as far as chronology goes, unless I've already passed it. But there's some that I have decided I'm not going to wait. I'll just read it twice. So this is one of them. I'm not going to wait till I get to the sequel trilogy. I want to read this one now. And read it, loved it. I absolutely love the first issue. There's no true spoilers, but like there's a great comment. There's a great moment where he comes in. I was like, this is actually out there on previews and everything else. One of the first things he does is it's Kylo on the deck of the ship and showing off like Snokes' dead body to the First Order troops.
Sick.
Like Snoke is dead. He throws the body goes out the airlock or the space.
He's like holding him up.
And then like he's like, and like I am the captain now, basically kind of thing. You will follow me. And but then he goes back and visits Mustafar, try to figure out what he has this like great
in
run.
the world. He sees Momin and Mustafar.
What was that? Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised because he gets there. He actually has a great moment.
Loves Momin.
He had this great moment where he started remembering Vader, Luke, Han, Leia, all these people. And he tried to like shut out his past. That he has to go to his past. He wants to kill his past, really. But he meets up with Vanny, Vader's little Alfred character.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to play a part in this whole thing, and he kind of it's a really kind of cool thing going on. I can't wait to see where this goes. I think it's going to be a wonderful run. Star Wars comics have been hit or miss from me along the time. Some are really great, and some are kind of like, this
that
one.
Dark Droids one let me down.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of that one, to be honest with myself. But I remember Vader Down was one of my favorites of the era. That was an awesome run. So I'm hoping Legacy of Vader lives up to his promise, but the first issue, spot on. I'm going here for it. So And I'll throw this out there as a quick audible here. I did finish Midnight Horizon just the other day,
Nice.
which I really liked. I didn't read that for some reason. I skipped that the first time through. That's where I am in phase one. I've decided that as far as the High Republic goes, some people absolutely love the High Republic. Some people are on the High Republic. I do really, really enjoy. I lean more towards love, although I honestly feel like when I go back after this is said and done, if I ever go back to revisit the High Republic era, I'm probably just going to skip phase 2. I'm just going to go with phase 1 and read phase 1 and phase 3 because I just think it was a misstep to go back. But they introduce all this like great characters, all these great storylines, and it's like, but pause it. We're gonna go back to the other and introduce all these other new characters.
That's the thing. I think you should start with phase 2.
Well, I did it this time, but I didn't really care about them. I still didn't care about them as much. I still kind of was like, yeah, okay, converted, yeah, okay, yeah, Skylark, okay, yeah. I liked the Marky and Rose ancestor there. I can't remember her name now. Marta. Mara. She was fine. That storyline was okay. The rest of the storyline I was kind of, I didn't really care much about. When I got to Land of the Jedi again, I was like, yeah, this is what I want. And we go through that. I'm like, I like where this is going. I want to see where this is going. I'm having fun with this again. Yoda's appearance at the end of Midnight Horizon, when he just basically comes back and kicks ass. I was like, oh, hell yeah, absolutely. So
Prime Yoda too.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm all for that. So I'll probably, when I go back and do a reread again of the High Republic, I'll just skip phase 2 and go right to phase 1 and phase 3. But it's okay. You can do everything.
I'd love to get more storytelling in that time because that was when Yoda was like 18, 19, 20-year-old Mike Tyson. Just like everyone was afraid of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was the man. So I hope we get more storytelling.
I wonder if we're going to. I think I feel like we're going to let it rest for a little while. Obviously, we'll have the Acolyte related content. We have like the Acolyte prequel books they have coming out. But I think once the High Republic ends, I think you're going to get an announcement, a celebration about a new initiative, and you might get like either a Dawn of the Jedi tie-in kind of thing. It leads up to Dawn of the Jedi, or potentially around there, or we could see an Old Republic. Like we'll get to a new era and have a new I think that would be a good way to go. Take like 10 to 15 years, but you have like here's the High Republic stuff, here's the Old Republic stuff, here's this, that, and everything, and then like you can kind of like add stuff as we go along. At that point, adding like you could still have like a High Republic era novel come out or something like that, or a High Republic cartoon come out while you're having the big push be towards this next era or whatever potentially. But I'm interested to see what they're doing next because High Republic ends this spring, right around the time the celebration goes on, and we don't have a whole lot in the pipeline as far as what's going on book-wise after that. We have the 3, obviously the Alexander Freed book, which is the trilogy they're doing with the Mask of Fear and stuff. And
I love the Alphabet Squadron book.
I want to reread them. I like them. I didn't love them like some people. I'm not the hugest fan of Alexander Freed, but I think having him write characters I already know and love, like Mon Mothma and Bail Organa, might make it easier for me. I didn't fall in love with any of his original characters. That was my problem. I liked them. I didn't need to see more of them. He had kind of a sprawling setting, although a reread might change that. I kind of feel like maybe getting through it again. I'm like, okay, I missed a little bit of that something. That's happened before. But I can't wait. I actually really can't wait to read the new one. I heard Alec Damon's review on Mask of Fear, and I'm really excited to see it. That's actually what I'm going to, again, I am taking that out. I'm not waiting for it. Once I get it, I'll add that to my rotation of 13 books that I'm reading right now. For sure. But I'm excited about that for sure. But we have Bad Batch book. I don't think there's much else that I've been
you know what you could do? About. Read one, get the audio book of another.
I have too many podcasts I'm listening to and music I'm listening to read audiobooks at this point.
You listen to the same band.
That's not true. That's actually not true.
I know, I'm just fucking with you.
I've been doing a best of project for 10 years now. I'm going through every album in my possession and making the best of list. I'm on the Who at this point, so I'm really close to finishing it. So I've been going alphabetically, so I'm really close to finishing it. So
that's pretty cool.
So I have to say,
you have to do a playlist.
Yeah, I have all these playlists I've created for myself. When I do, the funny thing is, I've decided it's going to be phase 1. I'm going to have to go back because so many albums have come out since I started the project that I have to re-listen to a few new albums. If any of those tracks slide onto those best of things, It'll be a lot quicker the second time through because I have to listen to like I listen to the entire catalogs of albums, like 30, 40, 50 albums to listen to pare down. And like now, like I'll have to listen to maybe 2 or 3 new albums to try to see, oh, does any of those slide into my best ofs? I don't know. We'll find out. I'm getting there. But also PJ's fault though, because friend of the PJ Campbell, my fellow mediocre white dude, introduced me to Brett Goldstein podcast, Films to Be Buried With. And it's so much fun. It's such a fun podcast to listen to.
Albums you'd be buried with.
That'd be albums would be fun too as well. But Films to Be Buried is very much. He basically has 13 questions. But yeah, the conceit of the podcast, or the podcast idea is that you've died, you've gone to heaven, but everybody there wants to talk about your life through film, and he starts talking about like your first film you've ever seen, funniest.
Oh, okay, so it's kind of like a soundtrack to your life kind of deal.
Exactly. But it's all movies and films we bear with. So I've had a lot of fun. Like there was an episode with Edgar Wright, which was great. Lee Winnell was great. Jason Sudeikis was great from Ted Lasso. They had some Ted Lasso conversations there. Bill Lawrence was on there, and he was fun, obviously. So a lot of cool stuff.
Bill Lawrence is just stuff that he wrote.
Well, the thing is, he hasn't done many movies. That's the thing. He hasn't done movies.
But you listen to him on Fake Doctors, Real Friends. All he ever talks about is stuff that he wrote.
That's true. That is true. I can't blame him. Some of the best stuff in the
The man just makes hit after hit.
Exactly. Some of the best TV shows in history, honestly speaking. I could say
Scrubs,
that without
Ted Lasso, Shrinking.
Yep. Spin City, Cougar Town.
City.
Lots of good stuff. So, all right, let's get into it.
Star Wars project.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, we already had Donald Faison in the Star Wars project. We've had Zach Braff in the Star Wars project. I think who else we could get. Brett Gold, like the regulars, Bill Lawrence regulars. I bet Brett Goldstein would do it. Harpy would do something.
Yeah.
He was in Doctor Who.
Had Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford. That's true. Harrison Ford. Definitively Harrison Ford. There you go. I could see Jason Segel doing it. Absolutely. I could see that. You know what I'd love to see? John McGinley in Star Wars. Kid. Absolutely.
Picture that. This would be our pitch, and then we will get on. Office Space meets the Empire.
I heard that.
You have the two Bobs go ahead and like grill these stormtroopers. What is it you say you actually do here?
What do you do here? All right, let's get into this now. Disney era characters. I had a bunch written down. I went through this. This was a tough sell for me on this, son. I'm going to let you go first. And if you want to give your honorary mentions now or afterwards, I'm going to wait till afterwards.
I'll do what you're doing. I'll wait till after.
Okay. So I had 5 that I honestly slide in there. And I have enough honorary mentions that I'm going to be point blank honest. If Matty picks somebody that's on my list, I will say I agree with them, but I will slide in my a substitution for my honorary mentions. That might be even harder because I'm trying to be winging that. But all right, let's go ahead with your first pick there for your favorite Disney era or best Disney era characters.
My first round draft pick is possibly the funniest characters, because he's a species, in all of Disney Star Wars. Babu Frick and the Anzellans.
Babu Frick and the Anzellans. Hey!
You need that like cuddly, yet also kind of crazy, like the Ewoks and the Jawas.
Mm-hmm.
And we got it with the Anzellans. I didn't laugh as hard in the entire sequel trilogy as I did when Babu Frick was on screen. And it was solely because of the voice.
Yeah, 100%.
Molly Damon does a fantastic Babu Frick impression. And last time I saw her and Alex, I was like, please, just one time, give me the Babu Frick voice. Just one time, please. Babu Frick is a genius, for one, because he figures out that C-3PO has got the ancient Sith language in his head.
Right.
The way he describes it is like, memory, go, blank. As someone who is kind of a technophobe, he explained it to me perfectly. He explained it to me like I'm 5.
There you go. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. He's
hilarious and he's cute. What more do you want?
He was absolutely on my honorary mentions list for sure. So I get to that. I agree. He was a much needed spot of comic relief in The Rise of Skywalker. And even though it wasn't technically him in The Mandalorian, when the Anzellans appeared in Mandalorian, Bad Baby, that was a lot of fun too. So, yeah, that's a pure Disney
no
experience.
squeezy.
Love it so much. So, all right, first character I'm going to throw out there. This is the reason why I came up with this topic, or I threw this topic out there, and it's a recency bias for sure, but I'm going to put it out there. Jod Nanawood
Fair.
from Skeleton Crew. He is like the perfect kind of character I think Star Wars needed. He is a villain who stayed villainous enough while still being emotional, while still having depth, swagger for days. An idea right there is this, speaking of Ryan Gosling, putting an A-list type actor in a role because they're good at what they do can lead to this kind of position. Like, this is the kind of thing you want from these kind of characters and actors. And he led us on a merry chase. Almost everybody predicted there was going to be some redemption for him, and that he was going to he's going to save the kids and yada yada yada. And I was one of them who thought that was going to be the case. And there was some minor redemptions, but it was done in such a subtle, good way that like it let him be true to himself. And the highest honor I can give is that Skeleton Crew season 2 or no, I want to see Jod Nanawood again in shows, in movies, in books, in comics. I want a comic book series about him. I want a novel with him as Crimson Jack or something, some of his past exploits. I want him and Hondo to get together. I just think there's a lot you could tap with this character. And Jude Law was phenomenal in the role. And he really, he won the day for me. So the reason why I started this list is my number one choice at this point. I don't know if he's my favorite Disney era character, but he's definitely up there for sure. So, all right, next up for you, we're going to have your number 2 draft pick.
Never has a man shown a breadth of talent from being able to go from crawling around on the floor, making noises of a cat puking up, to making me cry and putting Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On to a video of them possibly going to their death, which we now know he's not because he's going to be in season 2. Andy Serkis as Kino Loy. This guy, when you first meet him, militant, very like bootlicker, prison guys, like, bro, they've imprisoned you too. Why are you sticking up for them? Like, I was aggravated by the guy when we first see him, but then 2 episodes later, never more than 12.
Oh, a great line. Such a great line.
And 1 episode later, I don't know how to swim.
I can't swim.
Balling. I've just started my Andor rewatch. Now, I haven't watched Andor since it first aired. Because I've been like, I need to like sit down and watch this. And spoiler alert, we're going to be doing like a full Andor retrospective coming up on the show. But Kino Loy's character arc, phenomenal. And Andy Serkis is just one of the most incredibly talented men walking the planet.
Absolutely. Andy Serkis, of course, Snoke. He had 2 chances to be in our Disney era characters. Kino Loy was also one of my honorary mentions for the same reason. One Way Out. Just he was so gritty, so down to earth. So he represented a class in Star Wars character that we don't see very often. He obviously, he was put in prison. We don't really know. I don't believe we ever knew why he was put in prison. So we don't know if he was rightfully there, or not rightfully there. But he does his best to make the best out of the situation. And when he's finally put into a place where he has to maybe fight back, he does it despite being wary about it, being frightened about it. That's some of the great moments, because it could have been so easily done. It could have been so easily one note, like in terms of he finds out and he becomes a good guy, and you don't see that. Like this one, like you see the descent from like, I'm in charge of this. I'm doing the best I can because I got to get out of here, but I have to. This is what I have to do to survive. Finding out things about the prison, the Empire, and becoming frightened. He looked frightened at times and just like desperate. and like trying to he knows no, we can't. Oh my god, we can't do this. But he descended to the point where he had that moment of never more than 12. And you're like, yes, deserved fist pump moment. But even after that, he's still kind of like, okay, well, what do we do? What do we do? We need to do this. But when it comes down to it, he starts trying to talk, and he needs a little bit of help from Cassian. Cassian's like, no.
Is that the best you got?
Talk to them. If you have to talk to them, you have to be the one to inspire them. And he digs deep and has that speech. You're like, oh god, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. Oh.
The reason he is also the reason for we have the running of the hoods. We now have the running of the Narkina 5 prisoners.
Yes.
Celebration.
Yes.
Because of Kino Loy.
Loy. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, then I'm going to go with someone else from Andor. And it's an obvious choice now, I think. I have to go with Luthen Rail. Stellan Skarsgård. Again, such a unique role in the Star Wars universe at this point. He's like between Mothma and Saw Gerrera as far as like tactics go a little bit. He's not quite as brash as Saw Gerrera. He is willing to sacrifice everything, as he would say. But he's what a wonderful job being that character in terms of like he has that face. We see those times where he puts on that front face where he's right in the front of everyone in Coruscant. He's the dandy antiques guy. He's like, I'm just loving life and I have all these things. But then he gets the down and dirty and has those times where he's like willing to throw away anybody if it means that his cause is being forwarded. He is going to sacrifice he had probably might be the best monologue in Star Wars history.
Spoiler alert for anyone that comes to watch Morna this summer. We are walking on stage to the Luthen Rail monologue.
So good. What a great choice. That everything done along with it showed exactly what was going on in the minds of the rebellion at that point, the Nation rebellion. Dealing with Mon Mothma on some side, dealing with Saw Gerrera at other points, dealing with Cassian and those people at this point. That is what I'm looking forward to more than anything else in Andor Season 2, because we know where Cassian ends up. We know where Mon Mothma ends up. We know where Saw Gerrera ends up. We know where Bail Organa ends up. We know where pretty much where everybody ends up.
Other than Luthen.
Don't know where Luthen ends up.
Really. I think we got an idea.
We do. But you never know. I thought we all thought the Bad Batch was going to die at the end of the Bad Batch potentially.
Yeah, that's true. We have reason for that. They did kill off probably the most beloved member.
Yeah, that's true as well.
In cold blood.
I mean, we don't know. To be fair, and somebody out there is yelling at me now. We don't know about Dedra, where Dedra is going to end up, but we do think she's going to go down too. I think anyway. But yeah, either way though, Luthen Rail, even if he does leave us in Andor Season 2, left quite a mark, and I would love to see even more stories from him as well. I'd love to see more from that character as well. Stellan Skarsgård, what a great casting choice, what a great work. Love him.
Who would have thought the guy from Mamma Mia would be a great would put in like a monologue like that?
Right, absolutely.
A lot of people forget that he was in Mamma Mia.
They absolutely have. Absolutely, 100%. All right, Matty, go ahead with your next one.
So mine is kind of Andor adjacent. It's a Rogue One character. Ben Mendelsohn as Orson Krennic.
Oh, okay, cool. Very cool. Talk to me.
You need that kind of middle management bad guy between Vader and the stormtroopers.
Right.
The OT had Tarkin. The prequel trilogy, who did we really have? Grievous?
Yeah.
That middle ground, you need just like militant, fascist prick. And Ben Mendelsohn plays that. So he's such a snotty shit weasel prick. There's just like Mads Mikkelsen, he just says, "Oh yeah, where's Lyra? Oh, she died." She comes running over the hill. He just goes, "Oh look, there's Lyra back from the dead." It's like, you prick.
You prick.
He's just like a really, really great shit weasel.
Fair. That's fair. Absolutely. I know that's a great choice. One honorary mention I had for sure, an honorable mention. Ben Mendelsohn's a phenomenal actor. I was so happy to see him jump aboard Rogue One way back in the day. I loved him in Bloodlines and a couple other movies as well. And he's done great in every work he's been in. And I was so happy to hear that he was coming back for Andor season 2 because I'd like to see what happens. I'd like to see more from him for sure. And you're right. He was that kind of go-between. He was kind of like that middle ground between the Vaders, the Tarkins, and like the rest of the forces. It's interesting seeing that character who is not all powerful. He's not the one that has to come. He can't come out and basically command everything. He's got to kind of try to maneuver between the lines, and he gets screwed over. And but
see what happens when he tries to confront Vader.
Yeah,
when he tries to tell Vader what to do,
he almost chokes on his aspiration, as it is. And again, it's about having. I mean, characters are about what's being written, right? I mean, you have to have a good character written, but sometimes having a performer like a Ben Mendelsohn in that role just adds so much to it. Just adds so much to it. Like, would John have been the same without Jude Law playing? I don't know. Who knows? Would Krennic have been the same without Mendelsohn? Probably not. Could have been that. That's a role that could have slipped away and been pretty non-existent, non-recognized, like not worth it. But he put so much into it that you're like, oh. Like this, I want to see where this guy goes next. I want to see what he does next. So, good choice for sure. All right, for me, next up, I want to give a little love out there to someone from the sequel trilogy as well, and I want to see more from her, and that is Maz Kanata.
Oh hell yeah, dude!
I gotta admit, I'm a sucker. I used to write stories of my own fan fictions and other stuff. I always loved the character who was like a Yoda, as far as like he aged, like they have like thousands of years they live, or however long they live a long time, so you can put them over lots of different storytelling eras, which is good. But Maz is even better than Yoda to a degree because you can put Maz in pretty much any era and any type of story. She's like not a bad guy. She's a pirate, but she's also, you can see her, she's on the side of the Angel sometimes. She's helped the Resistance out. She helped out Rey. She helped out Exit. She was there giving Chewie Han's medal at the end. Like, there's a lot of good stuff in there. But what I love about her, voiced by the great Lupita Nyong'o, again, another phenomenal job at that. She has so much depth in like a small appearance. You first meet her in The Force Awakens, and all of a sudden I was like, I want to know more. I want to see more of this. Like, who is this person? Like, she's lived for so long. She's been amongst the Jedi. She's been amongst the pirates, the worst scum of the scum. She's been with Hondo in some of the Force for Destiny things they did. She is a phenomenal vehicle for a lot of stories. She's knowledgeable. She's smart about pretty much everything. And she's fun and she's funny, calling Chewie her boyfriend. And like, there's just a lot of things you can do with her. And she makes me laugh, but she also feels like anytime you bring her up and you put her in anything, she feels like she would belong. Like sometimes you put characters in your kind of, oh, because they're forcing this character to be in there. Because she would fit. She would fit almost anywhere you put her in any kind of stories. Story of the Jedi, story of the Pirates, story with the Resistance, the Rebellion. You could put her anywhere and she would fit perfectly. I'd love to see more from her. I hope we get even more from her. I don't know if she'd ever get anything where she led a story. It's kind of weird because she's definitely a supporting kind of character. But I wouldn't mind seeing like maybe an animated show or at least an arc where we get to learn more about her past and her future for that matter. So yeah, Maz Kanata for me, one of my favorite of the new era for sure. So, all righty, it's up to you next, my friend.
My next one is played by a man who I have a deep, 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 deep love for because he was in my favorite movie of all time. I loved him in A Knight's Tale. I hated him in Da Vinci Code.
Okay.
Paul Bettany as Dryden Voss, where he is essentially playing an old school Guy Ritchie. I'm not talking about new Guy Ritchie. I'm not talking about the gentleman. You could take Dryden Voss out of Star Wars and put him in Snatch. Put him in Lock, Stock. He's that like British gangster in the suit that somehow wormed his way into a shitload of money.
Does Dryden have a bunch of pigs in the on his
He may do. Be careful of a man with a pig farm. He may have a pig farm somewhere. I have my whole theory about Dryden Voss being a Mandalorian that one day I will get into and expand upon on this show. But you have this guy who you meet him and you just think, oh, he's just like a suave crime boss, whatever. He's just kind of a shit weasel. But then he flips and he goes to that place that he went to in the Da Vinci Code where he is a psycho and he will kill you.
Mm-hmm.
He's Master Teräs Käsi. He taught it to Kira himself. He has the lines on his face when he holds the knife. And you're just like, whoa. It is just that ability that Paul Bettany has to just snap in and out of a character. And I love that. I love it every time he does it. And I want more. I want more Dryden. I want more Dryden Voss so bad. I have a story in my head of him coming up from like Mandalorian gutter rat under the boot of Maul's regime to somehow becoming the leader of Crimson Dawn. I need to see it. I need to see it. You can't just have Paul Bettany in one movie and then do nothing with him.
That's fair. That's fair. I'd love to see it as well. I think there's definitely some great storytelling there. That's the great thing about these characters we're introducing. A lot of them have been one and dones, but I think I don't want to blame Disney or Lucasfilm, but I feel like there's a lot more that could be done with these characters. And you don't want to oversaturate with product. I get that. A lot of characters, I'm like, I want to see more from them. I would love to see stories about them we haven't touched base with yet. And that's one specifically would be a great tale. I would love to see a 5-issue Dryden Voss limited series comic run or something like that could be.
No. Got to be a show or a movie. Show or movie. I will not accept the novel. I will not accept the comic book. In this instance, with his Paul Bettany, I will not accept it.
You are prejudiced. That's all right.
Yes. Yes, I am.
All right, that's fair. So I will go with number 4. This is one I almost hesitated to put on, but I can't deny how much I loved him, and I don't know why necessarily, but so I know a lot of people didn't like this character, but for me, from Obi-Wan Kenobi, Haja Estri.
Who doesn't like Haja?
I've heard some people say it's too Kumail Nanjiani. He's too much of his own thing. It's too much snarkiness, too much like in your faceness of it. And like to me, I'm kind of like that's what I loved about it. I love the fact that he was this like con man. Like I guess
it's like saying, "Hey, Picasso, don't paint a picture. Hey, Mozart, don't compose a symphony."
I don't disagree with you. I'm glad we're on the same page. I got to be honest with you. I'm obviously telling on myself when it comes to these lists. Give me a scumbag with a little bit of a touch of heart of gold, and he got me that's the character I kind of.
That's what we thought Jod was going to be, right? We thought he was going to be along the lines of Haja.
I mean, Haja is a little bit of a scumbag, so he's still conning people. Yeah, he's doing it the right way at that. You got to thread that line just enough.
He's on the Hondo end of the scumbag spectrum, though.
Absolutely. I would say Jod is on that just on the like. If here's the scumbag, here's the Hondo section. And here's like the good people. Jod's like right here as far as that goes.
Like way over there.
No, because he's not. A scumbag would have been killing the kids. A scumbag would have been like, but he didn't, and he got upset when she was dying, and she got upset when KB crashed. He didn't want anybody hurt.
Okay, he's not all the way there. He's like here, putting him all the way down there. Now.
He's gonna betray you, and he's gonna be all for the money and the profit. But there is that there is a code in there. There is still a code in there. It's just
it's actually more like guidelines, but okay.
Exactly. But Haja the same kind of way. He does more good than not, and actually comes through when he needs to be. But I'd like to see him go back to do some more try to make credit here and there. If we get to see him, we gotta like to see him do more of like the Hondo kind of thing as well. But yeah, I love that performance. He made me laugh when he did the fake Jedi stuff with the magnets and stuff. I thought it was very well performed, very very fun. And yeah, give me Haja Estri anytime, my friend. So, all right, go ahead.
My last one.
Unless you want to do your honorary mentions now.
No. We'll do them after, because then you and I can do them as a collect.
Okay.
My numero uno, my number one, my guy,
think I know where you're going with this.
My little war criminal, Chopper.
I am glad you said that
Best
first
Star
of all.
Wars character in the entire Disney era.
I try to throw this out there. I'm glad you put it out there because it is one of mine as well. But now I can have a substitution. So
Okay. Chopper is that kind of line that you draw in this show. Is like, this is supposed to be a kid's show, yet you have this little droid committing mass murder. You have this little droid dropping F-bombs. And you know Dave Filoni's dropping those F-bombs.
Oh, absolutely.
He's saying fuck, but he's just blurping it out to sound like a droid. It's like they took a South Park character, put it in Star Wars, and made it sound like a droid so they could get away with like not having to make it a 15 or an R rated for the amount of F-bombs getting dropped. So like the banter between him and Ezra, especially him and Zeb. I'll be honest, when the Ahsoka trailer came out, the most excited I got was when Chopper was on screen.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. I'm right there with you. I mean, he is like basically R2-D2's drunk uncle. A little more murderous, a little more because I mean R2
They did fight.
They did fight, absolutely. I mean, they had the F-bombs between them. They both get the F-bombs. I think actually here's the thing. R2 will drop an F-bomb. Chopper will be the one dropping the C-bomb. That's pretty much what it would be.
They would.
You do that. R2 is going to yell at you like
season 2 of Ahsoka. Watch it.
Absolutely could be. Yeah, he's the one that he does even worse and dirtier. He's like, yeah, it's bad. It's bad, but it's so good at the same time. But he also is not quite the hero that R2 is as far as that goes, because Chopper is definitely a little more out for himself.
I'm sorry, how many Imperials did R2 kill?
Chopper is out for himself a little bit more, though. He's a little bit more making
still got the job done.
But I'm saying R2's more heroic overall. That's what I'm saying.
Disagree. Apples and oranges.
No, but I mean, look, Chopper does get a lot done, and he's definitely loyal. And I love
Isn't Star Wars supposed to be told through the perspective of R2-D2?
Yes, that's how the original trilogy and
so R2 is telling the story of Chopper.
Sure. Theoretically, I guess. How does R2 see everything? That's a good question. Some things like
that is a good question.
Is R2 around for Dawn of the Jedi? I don't know how we're doing here, but
who's the guy from the What If? The guy that oversees the universe? The Watcher. R2 is the Watcher.
Uatu. UATU, R2-D2, pretty close, I will say.
There we go. We're onto something.
I love it. No, I totally agree. Chopper is definitely one of mine, for sure. Same reasons you said. He's funny. He's a war criminal. I love him. I love to chop. I love to death. So.
Loosely termed war. I would say war hero, but
okay.
He killed bad guys. He killed space Nazis. He's like the bear Jew of the rebels. When the rebels don't want to give up, who do you call in? You call in the bear Jew. He's going to take that big old bat of his and he's going to swing it.
That is fair. Okay, fair. All right, I'll go with my number 5 then. It was Chopper at that point, but now I'm getting a chance to. I'm happy to do it. From the Acolyte, it's Khmer. It's Khmer, the Stranger. I mean, he is probably the best physical specimen we have seen in Disney. His fight sequences, those you can say what you want about the Acolyte. You can like the Acolyte, not like the Acolyte. I mean, I struggled a little bit with it overall. Overall, enjoyed it, but there's no knocking the lightsaber duels that came out of it and the fight sequences that this man put in there. But then not only that, he was wonderful to watch unfold, like, because you didn't know. Again, I guess it goes along those lines. Like, I like the evil characters who maybe aren't completely evil or have interesting sidebars to them that make them a little bit of depth. So not just the mustache twirling villains, they have something going on. And Khmer had that, like when he's trying to seduce either twin, honestly, as it comes down to it. He's trying to get an apprentice of his own. You get this like idea that he came from Plagueis potentially at some point. You have this thing where he also came from Indira. Not Indira, I'm sorry, Vernestra, I should say.
Sure.
Lots of fun there. His fun antics as the stranger himself, the drunken, like funny things he was doing, and then also
like a anime character,
right? The transformation into the actual Sith Lord, or not quite Sith Lord, maybe former Sith. We don't know exactly. We still don't know.
Acolyte.
Acolyte. We have to see. Hopefully, we'll get more of that in some shape or form. Look to see more.
I think we will, because he's the one they're bringing to Celebration. None of the rest are going. Manny is. So I think there's something in there with him.
Yeah, there could be. I think he might be a little bit of him trying to will something into existence as well. Which
Disney have got to be the ones to.
Yeah. Right.
But I definitely agree that I think he's the one that's trying.
I think he's definitely the one that's trying. I mean, well, you got to figure Soul is, spoiler alert, Soul's passed. His whole character's dead.
And they've also doing the season 3 of Squid Games, so he's probably going to be busy.
Yeah, and Indira is dead as well. Inara, I've been saying Indira. Inara is dead. Carrie-Anne Moss's character is dead. So yeah, it would have to be focused more on Chimera anyway. It'd be Chimera and Vernestra if they were going to do that route. But we could even just go without the Vernestra side of things. If they decide to go a different angle, they could just do Chimera, and then have to get me in Nesbeth Stenberg come back as well. But who knows? A lot of different possibilities. We're not getting an Acolyte season 2, but I could see some future storytelling in which we get to see something go down.
Yeah. I think Disney is trying to work out what can we do with him. Yeah,
agreed. I wouldn't be surprised at all, because he was honestly, and again, we talk about
that's part of the show,
and the most loved part of the show as well. Even like the haters were kind of like, oh, this guy's really good though, and I love seeing this, and the fight sequence was usually pretty good. And so
he's definitely a physical specimen. You were right about that.
Specimen for sure. Physical specimen for sure. All right, that is our list. Our favorite 5 characters. You have Babu Freak, Kina Lay, Krennic, Dryden Voss, Chopper, Jaj Nanawid, Luthen Rail, Maz Kanata, Haja Estri, and Kamir. So we'll do a quick fire now of our honorary mentions. I'll let you go first.
Genevieve O'Reilly is Mon Mothma.
That cannot count, my friend. Cannot count. She made appearances in Revenge of the Sith. Deleted scenes, but there's
deleted scene that doesn't count.
No, it does, and the character actually was in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, but Genevieve O'Reilly wasn't.
But that she's not Disney.
This is why I specifically said Genevieve O'Reilly is.
I'm gonna push back. It's Disney era characters, not actresses. Mon Mothma is not a new character.
Okay, I'm gonna give one that I absolutely despise, and I think he is one of the best characters because I despise him so much. I don't know the actor's name, but Perrin.
Oh yeah,
that's I can't stand.
He is a wonderful. You're absolutely right. Alistair McKenzie plays Perrin Firtha, and he does his job very well.
Almost too well, to the point where if I see Alistair McKenzie on the street, I might sock him in the mouth.
Absolutely, good call. 100% there.
That's a joke, by the way. YouTube, that's a joke.
Never know with Matty Gunner. You never know. He's willing to throw hands.
It's been a minute. I might get itchy.
Fair. All right. You got any more you want to throw out there? You want to go back and forth? Or?
Let's go back and forth.
All right. I'll go K2SO. Was definitely one of my choices in there. I actually took him out because of Chopper. One of the reasons I didn't want to have like two or three droids. I could put K2SO. I'll even throw SM33 out there, but I had Jada Nawad on my list, so I couldn't put Smee back in there. Both of them, similar reasons. Smartass. I looked at me as smartass droid, so they both worked out well. So looking forward to him in Andor season 2.
Let's go for a twofer.
Okay.
Chirrut and Baze.
Chirrut was definitively on my list. Baze not as much, but I
really.
I like Baze, but of the two, Chirrut's one I cared more about. I think it was the point I was trying to whittle down. I had a list of like 50. I'm trying to whittle down. So I was like, okay, I like Chirrut, Baze. I can.
Baze having that come to the Force moment.
Yeah,
where he's like,
a moment.
I'm one with. He just picks up the gun. He's like, I'm one with the Force. the Force is with me. The whole time that he was just like, you're Force mumbo jumbo. Shut up, you crazy old man. And then in the end, he just picks up the gun. I'm one with the Force. The Force is with me. Just charges in.
No, I mean,
Beautiful moment.
It is. I'm not saying what you said. I'm not saying I don't like him. I have so many lists out there.
You just prefer Chirrut because it's Donnie Yen, and Donnie Yen is the man.
Donnie Yen is the man, absolutely. I'm going to throw this all out there in one batch, big chunk of list. This is where I made that rule about the High Republic. Ava Chris, Mark Yenro, Elzer Man, Ty Yorick, Porter Engel, Leox Kiasi. All of them are on my list somewhere, shape, or form. I love all of them. And Geode as well, obviously. All those are good, but I couldn't put. This is my get out of jail free card. Don't have to worry about them. Still loving a lot of the High Republic, even though I mentioned like there's a lot of the High Republic I love. If you notice, none of those characters are from Phase 2. I believe it is. They're all starting Phase 1. That's why. Ty Yorick might be one of my favorites of all time, honestly. But anyway, all right. So go ahead. You can go for one now.
I'm gonna go with Omega.
Omega. All right. Good choice. Good choice. Solid choice.
Just that childish wonder that we got a lot of in Skeleton Crew, but she really took a shit kicking in life, and she came through no matter what. Just that perseverance, but still trying to keep hold of that childhood innocence. I think that is like the core essence of what Star Wars is.
Good call. Good call. I'm gonna call this the basic bitch trio here. This is just basically Star Wars basic bitch characters that everybody loves. That's why I think that's one reason I didn't put them on my list, because like everybody celebrates them. Or not everybody celebrates them, but you know what I mean. Rey, Din, and Grogu, like the face of Star Wars. I love them. I think they're great characters. I just don't want to put them as the my best. I made them honorary mentions. I'd rather celebrate some people who maybe don't get as much love as others do. I actually could put casting on that list as well, honestly. The stars of their shows, so to speak. That's for sure for me. What do you got?
I can't believe I didn't put this guy in my top 5. I really should have done. The man who gave us the phrase, "This is the way." Quill.
Yeah.
Nick Nolte is Quill. Just
good call. Good call.
Really short-lived. Should have been long. I feel like having Quill as like an advisor in season 3, someone that Din could have turned to, would have been perfect. We were robbed.
Right.
With Quill.
I agree. I fully agree with that. Because I did a Chopper on my list initially, I couldn't put any of the Rebels characters on there due to my own rules. So I'll throw out there I could throw any of these Rebels characters on there, and I wouldn't be lying. And Ezra, Hera, Kanan, any of those characters, Callus. I could have put any of them on there, honestly. I honorary mentions for sure. I mean, even Zeb or Zeb would be up there as well, possibly. These are all. Who didn't I mention? I mentioned somebody. I did mention somebody. Oh, I'm blanking on her name. The artist, the Ahsoka's apprentice. Sabine. I kept thinking Shin in my head, and I was like, it's not Shin. It's
no, that's the one that stabs in the kidney.
I'm getting old, folks. I'm getting old.
Yeah, we're 900 years old. You forget basic characters' names, you will.
Absolutely. So throwing those out there. You got any more to throw out there?
There was one character in The Rise of Skywalker that I absolutely adore. And they left such an impact on me with just one word. Okay.
Claude. Fair. Absolutely fair. All right, I'm gonna just run down the rest of my list real quick, and then you can.
Yeah, I'm pretty much out, so you can go ahead.
Okay, throwing out there a few other ones. Migs Mayfield from The Mandalorian.
Oh my God, yeah.
Burr. Love that scene, that whole scene when the in the mess hall, and he had that speech about the.
I don't buy his bullshit about him just like he didn't care about being in. I don't buy that for a second.
Nope, me either. Beckett from Solo. I love. I thought it was Woody Harrelson did a tough job to do that kind of swaggering role again. Scumbag.
Woody Harrelson can pull off swagger.
I know it's a tough role to pull off, like being Han Solo's mentor.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like having that, like you're Han Solo's mentor. But he also he checks those boxes for me. That scumbag with just a touch of heart of gold in there somewhere. It might be buried deep, but it's there. Baylan Skoll, wonderful character. Soul. Yeah. Soul. I like to learn a little more about Soul. I'd love to get more about his past. And finally, a couple of comic book characters which I kind of threw out there: Dr. Aphra, Chrysanthemum, and Momin.
Oh yeah, Moment.
So a lot of those characters were a lot of fun as well. So those are my my honorable mentions. I told you I probably actually even had more, and I could have listed more. This is how it reminded me, like the Disney era sometimes gets it's whatever. Some people don't like it, and yada yada yada. The discourse can be difficult at times, but doing this reminded me how much we have gotten out of the Disney era, and I'm happy for it. So I'm really glad we got to do this. So.
I'm just making sure that there's one that I haven't missed off my list. Obviously, we've got Amelia Clark as Kira. I can't. I really want to use Donald Glover as Lando, but we can't.
Can't use that. I mean, I didn't mention some of the big three like Poe Dameron and Finn. Also out there, Adam Driver, Kylo Ren out there, some good stuff as well.
Oh yeah, that goes without saying though.
Right, there's a lot of these are. I mean, maybe I technically should because they are great characters. But you know me, I like to try to celebrate the underdog a little bit, or semi at least a little bit. So, all right, then I guess we will wrap things up. Matty, where can the folks find you?
You guys can find me on all social media other than X. I'm not using that anymore, or Twitter, or whatever you call it. At Matty Mourner. You can find my band Mourner. Mourner on all streaming platforms. We have a new EP that's coming. I'm finishing my vocals off in 2 weeks, I think. So new music coming. Shows being booked this summer. If you like Andor, you're gonna like what we have to offer.
Nice, very nice. You can find me on Blue Sky, Paul Denuzio on Blue Sky. I love Blue Sky. It's my favorite social media platform at the moment. You'll find me all over this channel, obviously. I have a February schedule. It's a little lighter than January because I had to take 1 week completely off because I am going on a little bit of a well-deserved vacay. This is our schedule. This is the first, obviously, one from February is Holy Snokes today. We got Crown Jewels coming up, Jesus, 7 Seas of Rye with the Ellipsis, Hangman and I'm the Man, and we're going back finally to Flash Gordon at the end of the month to where we had stopped doing the Queen. If you don't know, Crown Jewels is by Queen podcast, going through every song in the Queen catalog. And we took a break of where we were chronologically to go back because of the Queen 1 Collector's Edition box set that had come in, and had to revisit some of those eras, those songs. We're back to Flash Gordon by the end of the month. We got Holy Snokes every week here on the channel here. We got the 1 week off, obviously, so I will be away that week. We are a little TBD, but I had parentheses.
That's good that we're both on vacation the same week.
Yeah, it works. That works out well. We have talked about maybe doing a Tony Gilroy celebration, maybe doing a Diego Luna celebration. That's why those are in the parentheses there. We will let you know when we have firmed up that decision for sure. I got 2 mediocre wait-twos on film. Me and PJ Campbell finally going through the Nightmare on Elm Street saga and starting our Patreon recording. We're going to start doing a Patreon exclusive, patreon.com/PLD Projects. We're going to go through the MCU, starting with phase 1, and go all the way throughout a slow, maybe monthly extra podcast version that will eventually come to this channel as well. Don't you worry, but it might be a couple months down the line for sure. And then, of course, Lego and I doing review, going through season 2 of the 2009 remake, or reboot, I should say, before we get into the Big Finish audio production, which just dropped last month. The last thing I'll say, yeah, we see it. I see it. I'm sorry, no class action this month. We came back 2 months ago. We're back. We were here last month, but we couldn't find a day that worked for all of us, basically due to vacations and everything else. So we'll be back in March. We'll come with a topic and go back in March for class action. And I think that should do it. I've mentioned the Patreon. Hit that like, subscribe, leave comments to help us fight Algore's evil rhythm. And
Algore's rhythm.
And if you can't help on Patreon, I totally get it. Just to help us out any way you can. We do appreciate it. And we will see you next time. And we will, Matty mentioned we're going to go on and do an Andor retrospective. I'm a little bummed in that I can't do math, and that I wish we actually could just do an episode per episode like we do with every other show we do. But unfortunately, we realized that with vacation, and we're going to run out of time before Andor season 2 starts. That's how close we are.
No, so we're going to have celebration. We're going to be talking about celebration when that comes up. That's probably going to be a couple weeks, like a celebration preview, a celebration recap. So,
right. So
from the celebration recap, we go right into Andor season 2. So.
Yeah. So that's what's going to happen. So what we're going to do is Matty pitched doing an arc we'll have a 4-week retrospective on Andor, each episode covering like a 3-episode arc from season 1. And that should be fun. That should be a lot of fun going into detail on that, like we hadn't been able to before. We did do a recap of season 1 with Adam Witt, the great Adam Witt, at that point, but that was it. So, but yeah, that'll do it for us this time, folks. We will see you next week with most likely some kind of look at Tony Gilroy, and we'll see how that works out. Otherwise, or we'll come up with something else. Who knows? Stay tuned and you'll find out. But as always,
may the Force be with you, always.